a gentle reminder, if anybody has a cell phone, if we could take a moment to please turn on silent. The family just returned from the cemetery. We had a burial portion of our service already this morning, and now we're here for our main memorial service. Officiating our service today is Rabbi Charlene Brooks.
Wow. Lots of love in this room. Welcome. Thank you all so much for being here to share your love, to share your concern, to share your grief. I would like you all to share with me to read. We did this graveside, but I would like you all to read. On the inside of your handout is the 23rd Psalm in English. And if you could read that along with me. As we know, this was written by King David when his own son passed away. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in the green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Parest, they were before me, presence of thy holiness. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Mizmor leDavid, Adonai ro'eh lo echsan, bina deshe yarbitzeni, haminuchot yanaleni. Nafshi eshovev, naf ine shovev, yancheni b'maklet tzedek, b'man shemo, gam ki elech Begetz Moavet lo irara ki ata imadi shivtecha umeshantecha shivtecha umeshantecha hemayanamuni. Taroch lefanai shochan, taroch lefanai shochan, taroch lefanai shochan, neged zorai, dishanta v'shemen, dishanta v'shemen roshi, dishanta v'shemen roshi, kosirei vayam. Ach tov v'chesed, yirdefuni kol yemechayei, v'shavti be'evet Adonai. V'shavti bevet leorech yamim. there are so many of you who love Gary, and have memories and thoughts, but at this time, I would love to ask his son, is it okay if I call you Joey? Sure. I met you when you were a Joey. Please honor us with your words.
Thank you all for being here. The last few days, the amount of people who reached out truly been incredible. We continue to have so many conversations as a family. Myself, I know my mom, my sister. It's funny, all the conversations come back to one common theme, keeps coming back. Every single person has a story, a joke, a memory, probably goofy, a little off. But every story is so specific to the individual. I think that's something that he gave all of us, right? I've got stories and I can go on forever. You guys know that. But everybody here has their own specific individual story, and that's what all of you individually meant to him. Was really what made him happy. I think my dad, in a nutshell, wanted to make people happy. So those stories, please keep talking about them, keep them coming. We love those. But I'd like to talk a couple of my own stories. That's been basically the last 3 or 4 days, whatever it's been. I kind of joke, Haley and I grew up different. It's a different type of house in our house, but it's a good different. And I wouldn't trade it for anything. Not many kids my age grew up knowing Fleetwood Mac was Peter Green. Joe Walsh's best stuff was with James Gang, not the Eagles. And Saturday mornings in our house started with Jethro Tull getting blasted through the JBL speakers. The best Rifleman episodes were directed by Sam Peckinpah. The best feeling in sports, and my dad loved talking about this one, the best feeling in sports is dunking a basketball. He and I would absolutely never know what that feels like, but it has to be the best. It has to be the best feeling. There's no doubt. Family vacations in our house. We took a vacation to Detroit so we could go to Motown and see Tiger Stadium before it was torn down. We went to Boston to see Fenway. Got a chance to see Trot Nixon hit a walk-off grand slam. I'll never forget it. And that was a long time ago. My dad and I, when growing up, elementary school, middle school, we'd stay up late watching In Living Color together. Best show. I've never laughed so hard in my life, still to this day. My first concert as a kid, and this is probably 5th or 6th grade, my dad, my Uncle Mark, and my Aunt Rhonda, we saw Brian Wilson Pet Sounds album at the Chicago Theater. Nobody on my age I talked to has any clue what that is. I knew every song. I knew every word. It's funny. Playing Little League Baseball, obviously, we've had lots of moments with that. I had a good couple days, and my dad was convinced it's because I had 2 hot dogs from Herm's the day before the game. So we had 2 hot dogs every day for the next month or so before we played every game. My childhood was the best, there's no doubt. Talking about my dad, I won't be able to do justice. Without mentioning the shop. My dad and his brother Mark have ran the family business since the early 70s, the Handle Latch. Holy cow. My great-grandfather, his grandfather, Harry Engert, invented the latch, started the business in the late 20s, early 30s. That small piece of hardware helped get my sister and I through college, a dream that he always had for us. I've had the pleasure to work at the shop pretty much my entire life. And last week, I got a phone call giving a heads up that the wire was going to be delivered sometime soon. You know, my sister and I had the pleasure to learn from my dad on a day-to-day basis. My dad taught us the importance of many things: hard work, showing up consistently, following your dreams, and the importance of the double play. I could be up here all day talking about my dad and the impact he had on me. The last few days shows me anything, it's the impact on all of you is just the same as the impact on me. On behalf of my mom, Haley, Mark, Randy, the rest of the family, thank you all for being here today.
Thank you, Joe. Yeah, it's very true. Every single person in this room has their stories that they could share. Not right now, but when you go to the other room where you're going to sit and visit and talk and during the week, I can't imagine how many people's lives Gary has touched. If this is an indication, it's countless. You know, I did share this at the graveside. And I'm going to do just a little bit of it again because this is something that you've asked. Oh, okay. Okay, loud enough. Yes. I'm going to sing a little bit of this again that I shared at the graveside. Shalom Rav, which means grant abundant peace to our people, to everyone, forever. And I want to share this, one, because I was asked to, and two, because if there's anything we need right now, it's peace. And I know that Gary lived his life so full of joy and full of good works that, and this is something that we've shared in past experiences together. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata melech adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. I met the Heller family many years ago as members of Congregation B'nai Shalom. Both Haley and Joey had their bar and bat mitzvahs there. And now, beautifully, your family has grown. And what a beautiful family they are. I am profoundly proud and sad to be here honoring Gary Heller's life. There are some things that we study, we all study for years and years and hope to succeed at. And there are professions that require degrees, diplomas, proof of completion. And Gary Heller, he succeeded in 3 very important careers. And they were all accomplished not by degree, not by diploma, by virtue of his heart, his talent, and his hard work. So what were the many talents that Gary had? Well, one was his unique engineering creativity in the family business. the Harry Engert Company that Joey told us that you started working at when you were very, very young, and you've never stopped. Manufacturing business, this is a manufacturing business that Gary and his brother Mark own and operate now. Another huge talent was his lifelong and prolific passion for music. And even more impressive because he was self-taught. And he began at a very young age. He was always making music and playing in bands, playing music in the house. But he also had a talent for being an amazing son, an amazing brother, an amazing husband, an amazing father, an amazing grandfather. And this was even more passionate than all those others combined. Mark, Gary, and Randy, your parents, Harry and Gladys Heller, were very supportive. Your career choices were always left up to you. Whether it be an actor, a musician, or a social worker. And another clear inheritance that Harry shared with his very athletic ability and love for sports. And the ability has had a very lasting effect on the family. But there's more. There's more. Now, you shared your home with powerfully loving grandparents. And what a wonderful gift it was for all of you, all of them, to be living together. And Mark referred to parents, the grandparents, the children as the Magnificent Seven. Now, spending time with their grandfather was everything to the kids. So important was their grandfather to them that Gary and Mark joined their grandfather's business just to be with him. And then Harry ran the business. He ran it differently than some others might. Yes, he was becoming successful, but he had no affectation. He enjoyed his success with a grace and with a very home charm. And now the business continues. Now, moving from their home in Skokie to Morton Grove, Gary met Lynn, the love of his life, in his freshman year there. Now, they were friends. They didn't date, not yet, not until 4 years after high school. A mutual friend, who I'm told is here and I'm not supposed to point out, and I won't, was telling Gary, who are you? No, never mind. Was telling Gary, guess who I ran into at the Dairy Queen? Not missing a beat, Gary called Lynn the next day. And the rest is history. When I asked Anne for details, she looked at me and she said, we dated, we had fun. No, she didn't have an accent, that's me. I get excited, somehow I get an accent. My mother comes in somehow. We dated, we had fun, we got married. That's it. And that was 40 years ago. And what a wonderful and full life those years have been. You know, the pride and the love that Lynn showed me, expressed to me for her husband, it's deep and it's constant. Another constant is the description of Gary that came up time and time again. He was a good dad. I heard that from all the different people that I was there with when we met. He was a good dad, and he was good at everything he did, not to mention funny. Even when he was 5, Randy, his big sister, whose love was always so great for her brother, she used to take Gary to kindergarten, to school every day. But one day, Gary came home and he said, Mom, Randy's got to stop holding my hand and taking me to my room. Did you? Oh, you did? Okay. He was 5. I know many 5-year-olds would be thrilled to be hand-carried to their room. and have their relatives, their loved ones, stay there all day with them. Now, Randy, you've been described as the ultimate caregiver. And shared how grateful, to me, she shared how grateful she is that ever since Gary's health was affected, this summer was a surprise, a big change. They would watch old musicals and old movies together, and this was something Gary truly enjoyed. Now, everyone agreed that there was one unusual talent that Gary had. He was a keeper of dates. I don't know about you, but without my phone, I don't remember anything. But he could remember dates, everything. He knew everybody's birthday. He knew everybody's anniversary. We're talking a lot of people. In fact, Lynn admitted that she never kept track of dates because Gary would always remind her. When I asked Mark for a favorite memory, he looked at me and he quietly said, "He was my best friend. We spent every day together. Work, ball games, concerts. When he was born, he was like my little toy. I couldn't get enough of him." Haley and Joey, oh boy, I know that you both embrace what a wonderful father Gary was. Actually, he still is, and you want to know why? I mean, I'm going to talk about the soul continuing, but that's not why. The reason that he still is because the love and the lessons that he shared with you will continue to go on throughout your lives. You will remember them. You will remember the love and the lessons, and sometimes you will remember them in different ways. So the relationship will still carry on. Now, Haley told me how proud her father was of everything that she and Joey did. He never worried about our grades and always guided us through our lives. He trusted us to make good decisions. Not only were Haley and Joey, I met you before you were 13, you were Joey. Not only were Haley and Joey his pride and joy, oh boy, but how Gary's world was expanded when the grandchildren were born. The beautiful and handsome Amelia and Eleanor, Micah and William. Boy, I saw pictures, I saw just a couple of pictures where Gary was with his adoring, I'm going to cry, but I'm not supposed to, so I won't. Okay. Pictures of Gary with his adoring grandchildren as he held them and he watched them dance as he was playing music with his bandmates. Gary was in heaven playing the blues with his family there, his grandchildren dancing so joyously. He was happiest when he made music with his grandchildren. And believe me, Gary made a lot of music. Speaking of bands, there were many. I'd like to name some of the bands that Gary led or was part of. The Nightcrawlers, which my husband and I went to go see. Gary Heller's Rockin' Riviera Review. Raise your hand if you were part of the group. Saxophone's Younger Brothers. And the very well-known Mickey and the Memories. Pardon me? Mickey's here. Oh, Mickey, you're here. Thank you so much. Just the fact, the fact that he shared those wonderful moments with you and you're here, thank you so very much. And these are just a few of the bands. Now, Joey and his cousin Scott. Where are you, Scott? I can't see without my glasses. There you are, right in front of me. Scott told me he shared with me that how he and Joey wanted to be musicians. So they went down to the basement, and he remembers what the two of them was making the worst music possible. And yet, Gary came down there, Uncle and Dad came down there, and he was always supportive. Okay, play an A. No, an A. Was always willing to train them and coach them. However, Joey is now a baseball coach, which is something you did inherit from your father. Did I mention that, that another of Gary's talents was his ability to be a stand-up comic? Okay, just imagine the moments that you enjoyed hearing him. He was never at a loss for words, especially clever ones. Now, even when his 5-year-old granddaughter, when I met her, oh, she's so beautiful, told me how funny her grumpy was. You know, I didn't ask, I shouldn't know. It's fine. I did not ask how that came out. Was it just a way of saying grandpa and it came out grumpy? Or was he grumpy? It just kind of happened. And I promised I wouldn't say the other name that they called him because sometimes one of them had trouble saying grumpy. And I promised I wouldn't say that sometimes they called him dumpy. You didn't hear it from me. Now, I believe it was Eleanor, right, who shared this with me? He would play. Oh, Amelia, I'm sorry. Amelia shared this with me, the 5-year-old. She goes, he would play games with me. He would hide things in his hand, guess which hand. And she was so excited. She goes, I always won. Many wonderful memories of playing baseball and all sports on the lawn, the backyard, has continued to be a family tradition, and I'm sure it will go on as a family tradition. And Gary was not only involved, but he was a coach to both of the kids' teams. And when he wasn't coaching the games, he went to the games. He would always be there, cheering them on. That's the kind of guy Grumpy was. Gary Heller has many friends. Some who he's stayed in touch with since grammar school, lifelong friends. And believe me, he loved you all. There was a lot of room in there, in his heart and in his mind, for everyone. He was also the beloved uncle to many. I didn't realize how big your family was, Lynn. It's big. So there were a lot of nephews, nieces, and nephews, and I can't name them all, but I did mention Scott, who shared his admiration for his uncle when we spoke. But I also want to mention an Iowa nephew, Johnny Bunkers. Yeah. And Mikey Bunkers, yes. Who added a beautiful memory. He called. Yeah, he called and he added this beautiful memory that also brings up another interesting facet of Gary. That was food. Yes, Gary was a foodie. When the family would go to Iowa to visit there, they would always take a trip to Casey's for homemade donuts, roasted chicken, and Grater's ice cream. Absolutely. I'm being corrected. Homemade donuts and roasted chicken over here, and over here was the ice cream. Okay, because we don't want to get confused. No, all right. And the fact that he remembered the foods of everywhere he went. He remembered every restaurant, every type of food that he enjoyed wherever they went, but there were 2 restrictions. It could not have butter or mayo. And then Lynn looked at me and she said, I always order extra butter and extra mayo. It worked out quite well. But sports, his work with his brother, the music. But what Gary loved most was his family and his friends. His beautiful and adorable wife, Lynn, who I know you truly enjoyed sharing all of his life, his talent, and his love in a very special connection. I could hear the pride and the love in every word you spoke to me when we were with your family. I don't like ever to focus on somebody's illness, but the fact that in the summer when Gary had surgery, and the belief was that, it was all good. And then he started not feeling so well. This week was a shock. Not when you look back on it, there were signs, but when you love someone and you know that they're on the mend, and for them to be gone, it's a shocking experience. And I'm so grateful, Lynn, that you have so many people who love you. They love Gary, yes, but they love you and your kids and your family and your brother and your sister, and they're here with you. Now, Gary had a special bond with his brother Mark, wife Rhonda, as he had with his sister Randy and the late Alan. The love has always been there. Now, his children, Haley and Joey, you've grown up with knowing the warmth, the joy, the love, and the respect that your father has always had for you. And your children, Micah, William, Amelia, and Eleanor, technology now gives us, but especially the little ones, an opportunity to see those videos, and not just pictures, but to see the videos with them and their grandfather forever. They'll always be able to see him like that. They'll be able to hear his music, to see his hugs, and the way that they enjoyed their lives together. And there are so many musicians that Gary made music with and shared such great times, and I know there's probably a lot of you here today. So thank you. Thank you all from the family for sharing and making those special moments with him. His gift of music was such a huge part of his heritage and his legacy that Gary is leaving his family and his friends. Now, at this time of year in Torah, we read that Moses was ending his journey, and he knew he was going to die. He knew he was not going to go on physically with his people, our nation. But he also knew that he was leaving them with memories and the lessons of his leadership and his love. And it's written in Torah that he left them with a song. With a song. Gary constantly shared his music with his family and to thousands of others throughout the years. Music was in Gary's soul. He played his guitar constantly, and among the countless musicians that he admired was John Lennon. And I'd like to share one of his songs with you now. There are places I remember all my life, though some have changed, some forever. not for better. Some have gone, and some remain. All these places had their moments with lovers and friends. I still can recall, yeah, you can sing. Some are dead and some are living. In my life, I've loved them all. But of all these friends and lovers, there is no one compares with you. And these memories lose their meaning when I think of love as something new. Though I know I'll never ever lose affection for people and things that went before, I know I'll often stop and think about them. In my life, I love you more. There is another prayer that I'm going to ask you to read with me before I chant it in Hebrew, which speaks about, it is called El Malei Rachamim. It's on the inside of your handout. It speaks to eternity. It speaks to the protection that God and his angels are affording Gary, protecting his soul as he is protected by the wings of the angels as they guide him, are guiding him now as we speak to Olam Haba, the world to come. We do believe our soul goes on, and that's why when you are thinking about Gary, you can have a little chat, have a little fill-in. You know, this happened today, that happened. You'll never believe what William did, or Micah, you'll never believe what Amelia did. And Eleanor, you'll never believe what I did. Have a discussion, because his soul is vibrant. And believe me, he never wanted to leave any of you. And the angels, the 4 angels that are surrounding him right now, the archangels, are protecting him. If you want, you could vision him with their, all of them facing him, like encircling him and taking him up to Olam Haba, to be with God. And this is something that I always say, that if you don't believe in angels, it's okay, because I believe in them enough for all of you. I do believe them. I also know they're available to every single person. It doesn't just happen when you're gone, when you pass away. It happens right now when you're alive. So this prayer speaks to his soul's protection. So I'd ask you to rise. O God, full of compassion, thou who dwellest on high, grant perfect rest beneath the sheltering wings of thy presence, among the holy and pure who shine as the brightness of the firmament, and unto the soul of Gary Heller, who has gone unto eternity. Lord of mercy, bring him under the cover of thy wings, and let his soul be bound up in the bond of eternal life, be God's possession, and may his repose be peace. Amen. El Malei Rachamim, שוכן במרומים, המצא מנוחה נכונה תחת כנפי השכינה. עם קדושים וטהורים כזהר הרקיע מזהירים את נשמת גרי שהלך לעולמו. בעל הרחמים יסתירהו בסתר כנפיו לעולמים. ויצרור בצרור החיים את נמשתו אדוני הוא נחלתו. וינוח בשלום על משכבו ונאמר Amen. Please stay standing as we read the prayer Kaddish on the back page of your handout. This prayer, Kaddish, which many of you have heard, have spoken, have recited, have a familiarity with, the purpose of this prayer is to give Gary's soul strength. Strength. And believe me, when you do that, you give yourself strength. When you recite this, and I ask you to do that during this next year, next 11 months, it will give you strength, a connection. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'yalmad divrach cherotei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chayachon v'yomachon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, v'agala u'vizman kari v'imru, Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam omei omaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitalei v'yitalal shemei d'kudisha, le'ela mikol b'chata v'shirata, Tushbachata v'nechemata, Damiram b'yalma, v'imru, Yehei shlama Rabbah m'shemaya v'chayim, Aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'imru, Oseh shalom b'imromav, U'ya'aseh shalom, Aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Please be seated.
Friends, this does conclude our service here at the chapel. The family will be sitting Shiva just across the lobby in our north chapel for just a brief hour or so. I know there's a lot of people here that wanted to offer their condolences, and that would be the appropriate time to do that. Memorial contributions in Gary's memory can be made to the charity of your choice. Friends, if you did not receive a folder on the way in, there should be some more available on the way out. At this time, I'm going to ask everyone to please rise as we escort the family of Gary Heller from the chapel. And friends, we're going to give them just a minute or two just to get settled on the other side, and then we'll open the doors for everybody to come in and offer their condolences and to maybe even have a little nosh. Thank you so much.